Hello Capricorns, and welcome to Embrace the Moon Tarot and your March 2018 reading. So as I was shuffling the cards and I was kind of connecting with your energy, right away the word that kept repeating over and over and over again was resourceful. So that's a bit of the energy that I am tapping into as I am getting ready to do this reading and as I'm presenting it. Resourceful is the key word, it seems, starting out with. And we have in the center the Eight of Swords and the present energy, and it is actually in reverse. And I'm going with my usual spread that has the four elements: mind, physical, emotion, and spirit or fire. Strength, obstacle, and present condition. And as I already stated, we have the Eight of Swords in reverse. And a lot of times I will flip them because I have issues with reverse cards, but I felt very poignant for me to be leaving this card in reverse position because it speaks so highly of being at a point where you're tired of being stuck and you're going to do whatever it takes to get out of it. And so Eight of Swords is often kind of spoken about that concept of feeling trapped. And if you get a chance to look at the imagery, you'll see, they're bound and tied and surrounded by swords. But the thing is that it's not completely around them. The feet aren't tied. There's an element of being able to get away, but for some reason, an inability to perceive how escape is possible. But it is actually in reverse for this month, which means the other aspect, or in this regard, we'll say the opposite is true in the fact that you've reached a point where you aren't blinded to the fact that you're not surrounded and your feet aren't tied. You've actually reached a point where you recognize this and you're ready to do whatever it takes to get out of there. You're ready to move on. And if that means stumbling a little bit before you can get help, or stumbling a little bit before you can get completely untied, whatever it takes, you're at a point at the beginning of March that this is what it's going to take. And this is the beginning of March. This isn't an energy so much that is the entire of March, but the decisions that you make to embrace the energy that presents itself at the beginning of March is something that is going to flow and carry you through the rest of the month. So the resources that you decide to tap within yourself to finally get up and make the change, whatever the cost, that's going to occur in the beginning of the month, but the ripple effect of that is going to flow through the month. In the mind spot, we have the Five of Wands, which often reflects chaos. But again, whatever it is that has made you get to the point where you are tired of feeling trapped and unable to get out is also getting you to the point where, whether there is or isn't chaos, you've decided you're not seeing it anymore. You're going to just focus on what it is for you to save yourself. That just popped in my head. Whatever it is that it takes to save yourself, that's your focus. So if everything around you is crumbling, if it doesn't impact you, it doesn't impact you. If it impacts you, you're going to figure out how you can work with it, move away from it, do whatever it takes to move on. You're just done. You're done feeling trapped. You're done feeling stuck. And you're going to do whatever it is to tap into whatever you have inside yourself to be resourceful, to move away from here. You're just ready to move on no matter the cost. You're just done. So that is what we have in the mental realm. So in the physical realm, we have the Ace of Pentacles. And I feel that this is just kind of having a trickle effect from getting yourself to feel like you're no longer going to focus on stuck. Whatever the resources that you have within yourself, that's what you're tapping into to get yourself unstuck. No matter the chaos that is or isn't going on around you, you're not focusing on that. It is not you. It's not about you. It's not for you. It doesn't involve you. You are moving on. You are moving out. You are gone. And as a result of that, within the physical realm, we have the Ace of Pentacles. And there's just some new personal groundings that you're going to be able to start planting some seeds. So these choices, these decisions, the whole concept of, you reap what you sow, but you first have to sow the seeds. these choices that you're making, the decisions that you're making, you're planting seeds, and these are seeds for your personal garden that's going to feed you later. You're not going to see it right away. You may not know it right away. You may not sense it, but you are planting seeds, and these seeds are going to grow, and eventually they're going to become a garden that you can harvest and reap the benefits, and you're going to be able to eat them and nurture yourself with them as a result of them. So within your physical life, what makes up your universe, these decisions are sowing seeds that you're going to be able to reap later, and they're going to be nurturing you as a result of it. In the emotional realm, we have the Nine of Cups. And again, you're really hitting on this whole self-realization, self-recognition, self-love sort of vibe. So the emotional status for you is the Nine of Cups. And I feel this is really speaking so intensely on how you are going to be, through this process, connecting to your deepest heart's desires. You, in the process of freeing yourself, and figuring out that even if you have to stumble for a ways before you get help or get free, you don't care. In that process of doing that, you have stirred up something within yourself. You've awakened something within yourself, and it's just kind of bubbling and rising to the surface. And it's just making you really see on a new level what it is that you didn't realize that you were lacking. You had gone through a process at some point in the past where you thought you had worked it all out, and you thought you knew yourself, you thought you knew what you wanted, and you weren't happy, or you were happy, and even when you weren't happy, you were able to decipher moments of happiness that made you feel like, yes, I'm fulfilled, my heart is fulfilled, my soul is fulfilled. But in this process of freeing yourself, liberating yourself, focusing on yourself, planting these new seeds that you will reap the benefits from later, you're also kind of contemplating on your personal emotional status and what that means for you. Are all the things that make your heart happy, make it happy to its fullest brim? So it's kind of like the whole half cup is the cup half empty, half full kind of thing. You're starting to look at your cup, and you're starting to look at the ones that you thought were full, and you're seeing that they're not nearly as full as you thought. Yes, they were full. Yes, they were giving to you. They were providing something for you. You were able to drink from them and quench your thirst from them, but they weren't full to its fullest capacity. And you are at a point where you've decided that in the process of wanting to be unstuck, in the process of deciding that everybody else's chaos is no longer your chaos, and the process of sowing these new seeds for a garden that is going to be yours and yours alone to reap and take the benefits from in the future, you've decided to also look at all the cups that aren't full and figure out how you can make them fuller. And if you can't make them fuller, do you want to keep them around? So emotionally, you're really tapping into yourself. You're really tapping into just wanting to have your cup filled to the brim. Ugh, I'm just like so excited for you, actually. I'm kind of bubbling for you. I'm really feeling this bubbling energy. In the fire, ambition, or spirit realm, we have the Knight of Pentacles. And so I feel like somewhere towards the end of the month, you're going to start to pull in the analytical side of this. Revert a little bit to your old self. This can be a good thing if you utilize this energy to tap into what it is that you know you want to make those cups filled to the brim better, and to nurture you better, what it is that you want to plant as far as seeds are concerned. But there is a slight potential of you being too analytical, and as a result of it, you start to analyze every seed that you're planting. You start analyzing how far apart you should plant them. How far apart should the rows be? Should you be planting them before the new moon or after the new moon? Should you be planting them on the full moon? Too much analytical thought kind of takes away from the magic of it, and so it really kind of brings down some of the passion and drive. And therefore, it also can kind of bring down a little bit of that, that energy that you were experiencing in the beginning. So if you can harness this and use this for yourself, that's going to allow you to be logical and analytical without dragging you down, go for it. But be mindful of it, because you don't want it to get you to the point where you start to get stuck and you start settling with the half empty cups, when prior to that you were willing to not. And potentially get you feeling a bit back to being a bit stuck. Maybe not to the extreme that you were before, but you could kind of feel yourself being pulled back in that direction. And essentially, you're going to be aggravated with yourself if you let yourself be pulled in that direction, because you just settle with that versus deciding, all right, out of all of my options with free will, that is actually the one that I want to choose. So I hope that makes sense for you. Your strength is the Sun card. And I feel that this is really tapping into really knowing true happiness. Not what looks like happiness, what is true happiness. This is the difference between laying in the tanning bed for 15 minutes versus going outside and laying on the beach and enjoying actual sunshine with fresh air and all the atmosphere that being in the real element actually provides. So you can get a bit of a sun-kissed look, and you can feel a bit warm, and you might even get your vitamin D levels to come up if you hop into a tanning bed. But the experience of actually being out on the beach in the sun, or out by a river, or out, I don't know why I'm referencing water, so water might be important to you. Well, it is as far as emotion's concerned, so take that into consideration. But the element of actually being in the real version of the sun versus what is provided as far as almost real, but not real. This is the strength, knowing the difference between the two and choosing the real one. That's your strength. The potential obstacle is the Eight of Wands, which is an expression of fast and quick motion. So I really feel that the obstacle for you is going to be pretty much what has been laid out with the four corners, and that you're going to enter the beginning of the month just fully prepared of just kicking down the door and getting out. Whatever resources get you unstuck, allows you to move through chaos around you and realize that it doesn't impact you. It's not about you. It's not for you. Planting those seeds, tapping into the cups that are full and what the half full ones mean to you. But that's all going to be like this whirlwind of movement in your life. And the obstacle with that is it can lead you to that point that I spoke of, as getting to a point where in reflection and retrospect, you might get too analytical. And sometimes we get scared when things happen too fast. It's kind of interesting how as humans, when things happen too slow, we get aggravated and frustrated. When things happen too fast, we get flustered and start to wonder if it was actually meant to be. The latter is going to be your problem, because it has all happened so fast, everything rolled. And even though it seemed to be rolling seamlessly, once some of that commotion has died down, there's going to be those moments of reflection, as we have in the Knight of Pentacles, that, there's going to be a stalled moment, and the reflection with that is going to be, oh crap. Was I a bit rash with my thoughts? Was I a bit rash with my actions? So this is the obstacle. The key is tapping into the real sunshine versus the tanning bed sunshine. Knowing the real happiness and what that means to you. You don't just want vitamin D from the tanning bed. You want the experience of the sun, the warmth of the sun. Even when you're sun-kissed, it looks and glows so much better than the tan that you would get from a tanning bed. So the experience of being out in the sun, all that provides for you, that particular reality, therein lies your truth. Therein allows you to know how much of that sudden motion and movement that you experience was rash or irrational. And I think you'll find for the most part, it was actually, you're fine. It was probably long past due. I feel like you have been very patient. I'm just getting this overall sense that you've been extremely patient. You've been waiting your turn, and no one has said, okay, it's your turn now. And you've been waiting for this for a really long time. And so I think if you manage to focus on the real element of the sun versus the tanning booth sun, you're really going to recognize that your actions weren't as irrational as they may seem now that the dust has settled. And then go with whatever that takes you. But connect to that. Connect to that when you're trying to decipher how you feel about the decisions that you've made and where you want to go from here. All right, Capricorns, that is all I have for the core reading. I'm going to go ahead and pull one more card that sort of brings it all together or wraps it up. Let me see what I can give to you. Maybe a mantra. Let's see. Paradise, heaven on earth. I think this is really tapping into it's your turn. You've been waiting long enough. You know, the whole illusion of the knight in shining oh my gosh, I can't talk. Excuse me. The whole illusion of a knight in shining armored. Oh my gosh. The whole illusion of a knight in shining armor. Oh my good Lord. Isn't always all that it's cracked up to be. You've been waiting long enough. It's time for you to save yourself and create the heaven on earth that you have been waiting for someone to say, okay, it's now your turn to have, or your turn to develop, or your turn to experience. No one's going to hand it to you. And there's nothing wrong with you breaking out of it and creating it yourself and planting the seeds that are going to create that garden that's going to nurture you. But yes, other than that big bumble layer towards the end, I hope this reading gave you everything that you needed and maybe a little laugh. I hope March ends as positively as you start the month when you make the progress and movement that you desire. And yeah, I hope you have a great month. Make it a great one. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.